It's hard to say no to me.
It is hard to say no to you, because I've been a victim of that a couple times, actually. It is, cause so you, like, one of the first things that you kind of intimidated me into it, but you pushed me.
Yeah.
It was the comedy competition with Raymond Northam.
Right.
Because it's hard to say no to you, and you told me you're like, hey, I just want you to go, and you got this subtle, intensity, I think, where you like kind of stood and like you squared your shoulders. You're like, I want you to go to that show. It's like, I want you to perform. Like, you have enough material. Like, come up with material. It's only 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And you have to go. And I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Right. Because what I'm finding in the El Paso comedy scene is we're not motivating each other enough.
I think we are.
You think so?
Well, from what I've heard, back in the day, it used to be pretty ruthless. Right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, it's cutthroat, every
no
man for themselves, and it was like, if you notice the history of the El Paso comedy, it's mostly a male-dominated organization where it's all male comics, but it's the same comics. So now that you have new comics coming in, you're like, all right, cool, but you only see them at a sprinkle of areas. We have so many mics, so many shows, so many opportunities. We shouldn't see the same comics. It's hard to say how many comics we have because we don't have consistent comics.
Right.
So it's like, you don't find out somebody's a comedian unless they tell you. So the well-known comics, who are the well-known comics?
Right.
So when I see potential in someone, I'm just like, why aren't you competing? Why aren't you putting yourself out there?
Right.
Because I find it hard to call yourself a comic when you're not doing comic things. So, and most people are like, well, you're not supposed to be doing competitions. Well, why not? You're not doing the competition to win. You're doing the competition to put your name out there so people know that you exist as a comic. So when you go somewhere else and you start networking, you start doing more shows, they're like, oh yeah, I remember you. So most of the people, when I say people, the audience members, patrons that go to our shows, so they know most of us from comedy competitions.
Oh, okay.
So that's why. And I'm just like, well, why shouldn't you go? Now, I could have been evil and be like, no, I'm going to win this thing, don't go. Because the less comics to go, the less competition.
Right.
But I'm like, no, I think it's fun. And again, depending on who's running it, that's networking opportunities that we're missing out on. Because you never know who knows who in the business. Right? Because there's only 2 rules of comedy. Be likable and be funny. That's it. So if you're likable, people like your persona. They like who you are as a person. And then they're like, oh, you're a comedian? Well, let me hear some jokes. Let me hear some material. And 9 times out of 10, as comics, when we're doing material, it's in a conversation setting like this.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
we make each other laugh. And then we go on stage and we do our thing. Yeah. So I'm always going to encourage, motivate, intimidate, push somebody. Like, why not?
Yeah.
No,
that's true. And it's kind of weird that a lot of people say that there's a lot of competition because everybody, I guess it probably is a personal experience too, but everybody's been so nice to me. And, I'm a little out of it sometimes too. Yeah. And I'm not like deep embedded into it. I have a lot of stuff.
You're not part of the drama. That's what's important.
Exactly. Because I do have a lot of stuff in other areas going on too.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. Like, I made a post that, I felt like we were like a little dysfunctional family. So it feels like home. It feels like we're part of that community. But yeah, I just don't get the whole, because I see it coming up. Yes. But that's because I'm also listening to it.
Yes.
Hey, where are the open mics? Where are the shows?
Yes.
So it's understandable that, plus there's always going to be drama, right?
Yes.
We're all a little...
Because every city has their comedy drama, but they're like a little bit more, like if you're just visiting from out of town, they keep it under wraps. It's like, okay, you don't need to be part of this. Just come, network, do your thing, go home. Right. And that's it. Yeah. So I guess we fit in, like,
I think we do pretty good. Yeah. And then whenever something does happen, everybody else just talks a lot of smack too.
And that's what it is. Yeah. That's all it is. It's like a family
healthy.
member. It's like they bring it up, you're going to lick your wounds, you're going to tuck your tail between your legs, you're going to come back stronger, or you don't come back at all.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's also something that I've
heard. It is. Because I've had my fair share of, like, getting blasted on Facebook.
Right.
And I'm like, all I'm trying to do is give out opportunities. So what's the problem?
Yeah.
But again, when you become competition or somebody feels that you're competition, you're a competitor, they're going to find ways to dim your shine.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm learning not to have such an emotional response to things.
That's good, and I've noticed that because you seem very you do seem like very like you like stand back and watch a lot of stuff, and that's to me that's like a little scary. And that's why I'm intimidated. It's like, oh, it's like I don't know what you're just thinking. And then you get to know you, and it's like, oh, you're like the nicest person.
Exactly. It's just like what I've been told since I've been doing comedy now 5 years. So what I've been told from the El Paso comedy scene is like they're like, what's your military size? Like you come and you got like that military, and I'm like, well, you gotta understand, I've only known the military. I've been in the military 22 years, 23 come March. So I'm still in. Most people are like, what? And I switched over. I had to like at 18-year mark, I had to give up the active duty part to be a single mom. So I'm in the reserves now. Mm-hmm. But 18 years of active duty service, 4 deployments, you kind of have that watchful. You're observant. Your guard is up. You're trying to figure out who's cool, who's not. And then once you figure out who you can like hang out with, but still you get stabbed in the back because you never know, you know. So it's just like that military backend that I have. It's hard for me to like let it go and just be cool. Yeah. So and eventually I'm gonna transition from military to civilian. It's still gonna be hard for me, and a lot of people don't realize dealing with vets, combat vets, however long they've been in. We are a little bit different, but we're trying to
it's like second nature already.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You've been in it so long.
Yeah, and it's like they don't realize, and I don't know why, but it's like it's hard to realize that there are female vets. Like, what's that? What's up with that? Like, we exist.
That's true.
Like, yeah, there's females in the military, you know.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because I didn't know, like, I didn't even know you were a mom. Like, you told me, hey, we got to record early, all right? I got to pick up kids.
Yeah, I got to be honest.
Man, I don't know anything. Because whenever you see people at shows or at the open mics, it's like, oh, this is just the comic. Yeah. And that's, like, all we do.
Yeah, because well, I'm not bringing my kids to a comedy show after dark. They're supposed to be home getting ready for school, you know?
Right, yeah.
So, like, that's a second part of me. And I think a lot of parents, they find it hard to have their social time. It's like you're a parent 24/7. You got to take care of your kids. You got to take the responsibilities. And then it's like, where's your time, your me time? So my me time is coming out, hanging out with the comics if I can. I might not be able to stay late. I can do, but I'll wait my turn. I'm not going to like, be a dick and like, jump over like, hey, can you bump me up? No, I can stay there the whole time. That's not an issue. Right. But afterwards, like, 2, 3 in the morning, I'm like, hey, all right, I got to go home because I got to get up at 6.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that kind of thing. But yeah, like.
The military probably trained you for that pretty
much. Yeah, like team no sleep. Yeah.
Oh, man.
4 hours of sleep. You only need 4 hours of sleep. Okay, so I got the 4 hours down to a T. Okay, and like on my days, like if I'm really in zombie mode, I'll take a nap.
Right, yeah.
But I live off of caffeine. That's why I was like, yeah, I can't drink, but I can have some caffeine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I thought you were doing comedy for a lot longer. Mm-mm. You said you did
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, I started in 2018, so I think my math is right. 5. Yeah.
And you started here in El Paso?
Here in El Paso, yeah.
Okay. So because I know like one of the things that I always ask you because you're from
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always think it's cool. It's like, so how'd you end up here?
Military.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got stationed here for 2009, and I came here very pregnant. I was pregnant with my youngest child. And I had just come back from Korea. I found out I got pregnant by accident, and I went to Korea, and I was only in Korea for like 2-3 months, and they're like, you can't be here single parent, so they gave us Fort Bliss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we came here in 2009, and in 2010 I had my daughter. 2011, I went to Afghanistan. 2012, I got divorced.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I had to learn how to be a single parent in the Army with 4 kids. 2 of them are special needs. Right. And I can promise you at that time, a lot of people that knew me then, they'll tell you I was the most evilest person on earth. I was so bitter, so angry, upset, because when most people don't know, like, they give single moms a bad name.
Yeah.
But we don't start out that way. I was married,
Right.
So coming out married and thinking it's a 2-partner commitment and then learning how to do everything by myself and still make the military obligation, that's hard.
Yeah.
That was so hard.
Yeah, because even in the military, it's not just like a job.
Yeah.
That's your life.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's crazy. I didn't know. Really?
You know,
Wow.
so sun up to sundown, we're training, and then as a non-commissioned officer, where I'm training troops, I'm teaching them how to do jobs, teaching them how to go on missions, and yet it looks like bad on me that I can't control my household. So it's kind of like a double blow.
Right.
You know, so it was, how can you train the troops and you can't even keep a marriage going? So I had to deal with that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's also like it takes two to, you know, make a marriage work. Like, it's not always just your fault. Too.
Exactly. So now I could probably say I didn't raise my kids.
Comes, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I don't have time for the comedy conflict. So like you guys are bickering and arguing. I'm just making sure the kids are eating healthy, grades are staying in A's, and that's it.
Right.
You know.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came here to El Paso, you were born in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And you joined the military. Did you don't get to pick? I'm guessing, right? They're just like, hey, well, you're just gonna be sent where you're sent.
No, actually, you get three choices in your duty station. So I was 21 when I joined the Army. And at first I went to the Air Force, but I still had my braces on. They're like, no, we're not going to take you. So when my braces came off, I went to the Army because one of my younger brothers went in the Army. So I was like, oh, let me try it. So I went to the Army recruiter station in Brooklyn. My very first duty station, I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for basic training. And then for AIT, I went to Fort Huachuca because I was smart enough to go military intelligence. But apparently I wasn't because I failed out. I'm not embarrassed. I failed out because there's records of it. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
I failed out of school. I do not know how to draw on a map. Okay, I ambushed this. It was friendly fire. I don't know. So I failed out. I don't know how to plan that. So then I ended up going to my second AIT, which was at
GPS. Now.
Yeah, right. No, now I got GPSs. So my second AIT was at Fort Lee, Virginia. Whiskey, you know. So I was in a whiskey company, and they treated me really badly because I was 21 when I got there. Right? So everybody in my class is like 19, 18. They're young. They can't drink. Yeah, they're babies. And I'm just like, So every weekend I'm like, well, I'm going to go drink. Because I'll go from Fort Huachuca, where I almost graduated, to go to my duty station. And Fort Huachuca, our graduating class took us to Mexico. You know, we was in Nogales partying, hanging out. Yeah, before they made...
pretty wild.
Yeah, because... military.
Right.
So we do things. It's like work hard, play hard. Yeah, we play hard, all right. You know, so I had fun. So coming in, then I went to Virginia, Fort Lee, Virginia. I graduated, passed, because you only get 2 times. In other words, they send you back to the house.
You had to do it.
I had to, because they send you back to the house, and I wasn't ready to go back home and tell people I failed. Like, how do you fail the military?
So that was going to be my question. So why... Like, do you go back? Do you have family back in Brooklyn, right?
I do.
Do you go back and visit? I've never been there. Like, I don't know what it's like. I've been around New York. I used to drive up there.
I'm a product of my environment. I had some bad times, but it's, So my thing was, like, I made it to college, but I didn't graduate the first time because I was in the pool halls. I was learning how to play pool. I was in the streets learning how to, like, be street smart, hustle, and just, take one day at a time.
Right.
I'm not one of those privileged kids that grew up in a fun household.
Right.
If you catch my drift, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just like, so once I joined the Army, I had family tell me like, oh, you think you're uppity now? Like, you don't know us anymore?
Right.
And I'm like, are you worth knowing?
Yeah, that makes sense. No, because mainly my question is because Brooklyn has all this, like, I guess, history or reputation.
Yeah.
And then to somebody from, I guess, any city in Texas, maybe except Dallas, everybody thinks Brooklyn is like a big city.
It is.
And there's a lot of stuff going on.
It is. But New York has like 5 different boroughs, so I'm like borough hopping. I'm hanging out in Chinatown. I'm making friends in Bushwick. I'm tussling with the girls in the Bronx because it's like, oh, you're not gonna take all Latin men. I'm like, girl, I'm half Latina. Like, what's the problem? Like, relax. So I'm all over the place. So it's like when you come in an environment where like you grow up in school getting bullied or you're fighting, you know how to throw hands, but then you gotta learn eventually. Like, you can't do it all the time. So then you got to pick up a book. You got the street smarts, but not get the book smarts. Yeah. And I think that's what helped me. So when I joined the military, like, it was like a different world. I'm laughing at people getting yelled at. I'm like, these people like crying because the drill sergeant's yelling at them. I'm like, oh, my mom yelled at me every day. It's like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it toughens you up.
Like, it does. It's a make or break system, but. it's the best job to me, in my opinion, because what other job is paying you to wear their clothes, you get as many meals a day as you need, and a paycheck just to do a small amount of work.
Right.
And if people think that military is a lot of work, it's really not. It's more of a mental, because the military puts so many people, so many different walks of life together, and you have to figure out how to make that work.
Right.
That's the hard part.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's mentally tiring.
Right.
Physically, if you're a person that's like not active, it'll hurt. But if you like run, jump, play around, it's the same thing.
It's just being. Is it like, because I know you guys do like PT and
yeah,
stuff
every
like that,
morning, hour and a half every morning.
Is it super tough, or is it?
The runs are. I am not a runner. I'm good at it, but I don't like it. I'm
and you
like,
have to do it. Right?
You have to, which like, I'm not understanding why. We have perfectly good working vehicles. Why are we running? But yeah.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to stay in shape, right?
Yes.
That's what we want for the military.
Yes. But you know what? I can't complain because it makes you look good. You know. Like,
that's true.
I fell off a little bit. I got a mom bod right now, so I'm back in the gym.
The holidays are coming.
Exactly.
Too. That makes sense.
But it's like the army pays me to work out.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, you get access to facilities,
yes.
like equipment and everything.
So it's like, how can you not keep in shape?
I've been trying to look for some like workout equipment. It's expensive. Weights are expensive right now.
It is, and they want you to get the little Peloton bike. That's expensive. I was gonna get the mirror. That's expensive. I was like, why is a mirror $5,000? So yeah.
Right. Yeah, that thing looks crazy.
It is, because it's like COVID. You don't want to go to the gym, and I'm just gonna say it now. We got a lot of creepers in the gym because as a female, I cover up, and I shouldn't have to because guys can go in there, take their shirt off, do their workout. Nobody bothers them. But we females, we go in there. We're trying to get our work on, and it's like you feel the iris, and you're just like, am I doing the exercise wrong? Or are you looking at like my outfit? Like, what's the problem? Like, stop staring at us. Let us, do our workout.
Right. Yeah, that makes it. See, I was never a big fan of going to the gym.
Because it's intimidating.
It is intimidating. Like, I know people aren't staring at me. I'm like nothing really to look at. Like, even for girls or guys. But I always feel really self-conscious.
Yeah, you feel like you're being judged automatically. Like,
man, I need to put some more weight on this.
Yeah. And then you see the guy next to you, he's lifting up 1,000 pounds easy. And you're like, but you forget that he started his journey with 10 pounds and worked up to that 1,000 pounds. Right. But we all go in there like, oh my gosh, I gotta be already ripped and strong.
Yeah. And then you see all these guys, like I saw one guy at work the other day, and he was like super ripped. But you could tell he didn't do like work on his legs. It's like, oh man, come on.
Yeah, how do you do the half workout?
Yeah.
Like, your legs gotta match.
It looks off. It looks a little off.
You can kick his twigs from under him.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like, I know you're putting a lot of work, but you even it out.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah.
So how was your jump from the military into comedy?
So 2017, that's when I hit my RCP, which is the retention control point in military terms. So what happens is I was E5 forever. So if you don't make the next rank, you have 15 years to make the next rank or they kick you out.
Oh, wow.
So 2017, I was an E5 with 18 years in. And I kept going to the comic strip because we had some friends that were like, oh, the comic strip, the military Sundays, you get in free. Uh-huh. So I'm like, all right, let's go. And January 2017, when I got out the Army, I was a little bit depressed, a little bit sad. I went so much that the front desk, the Jennifer that worked there at the front desk, she's like, oh, I'm leaving. And I was like, well, who's taking your job? She goes, you are. I said, huh? She goes, yeah, I'm going to set you up with an interview and everything because you come here all the time. You know all the comics already. I was like, yeah. So, yeah, you'd be a perfect fit. Why not? Because she knew I was getting out. I needed a job,
Right.
So she hooked me up. I got the interview, talked to Mr. Reed. It went well, and I worked there for about 6 months. And it didn't work. It didn't work out too well. It didn't work out too well. Yeah. So in that 6 months time of working there, I got to meet the comics. I got to hang out with them, and they started asking me because they were just like, "How was my set?" And I was like, "Honestly, yeah. Okay, look."
Oh, you started being like,
yeah. So comics, don't ask somebody how was my set if you're not ready for the answer, because I would tell them. I was like, "Well, your stage presence, you seemed a little off. Were you nervous? Did you forget your joke? Because you had a glitch in the system." You would tell them.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking that they're asking for your honest opinion, so I would give them their honest opinion.
Right.
And that backfired. And then one of the comics, which not known to everybody in the El Paso comedy scene, Hanny is the one that dared me to do comedy because she was the one where we were at LQ New York when they used to have open mics there, and I watched her set.
So she's the one that dared you to go up on stage.
And she asked me to critique her set, and I told her. So when I tell comics, do not stand behind the microphone stand. Move the microphone stand. And she goes, well, if you think you could do it. And I did it. So my first
wow.
my first open mic performance was at Jacob Esparza's Backyard Extravaganza.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I bombed my first year. Okay, look, it was horrible. I didn't know how much work goes into being a comic. Because
Right.
I'm thinking, yeah, you just go up there and tell jokes. No.
Yeah.
Stage presence, how to hold the microphone, who to look at, stop playing with the cord because you're nervous. Little
Really?
tics like that. Yeah, I had to learn.
Wow, I kind of wish I could have seen that.
Yeah.
2017, I don't know where I was. I was over the road.
Yeah, so
I
like,
didn't
you
see
know,
that.
so at one point, Henny and I were friends. Yeah.
Really?
And now we're not. So,
Right, yeah.
you know, but it happens, you know.
Yeah.
So,
That's kind of, well, yeah, I guess it's one of those things that just happens.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool that one of those situations, it's like, that's how you got your start.
Yes.
And it's like it was a pleasant experience, I guess.
it was. And I heard from other comics that that's how they got their start. A lot of comics start out working at their local club.
Yeah.
So it's
That
like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, and I think that's mainly what it is, like even Seinfeld had that joke that people are afraid of speaking, like public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense because it's you get all these insecurities, you're out there, you put yourself out there, and everybody's looking at you, so
Yeah.
you're always, I wonder what they're looking at.
And then if you're not used to hearing your voice
Yeah,
that
that
long,
too.
you're not used to talking that long, you're like, I probably sound like a dork.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's true. So then you started your like comedy career from a dare, kind of.
Yeah.
Did you have any like thought of like, oh, like I'd like to do it before that, or did you ever think of like, oh, well, maybe it's something that I would like to do, or it was never
Never.
really a thing?
Never.
That's
I just grew up like most people are a fan of comedy. You know,
Yeah.
like watching comedy, growing up, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, like the people
Yeah.
that were on TV. That's who I would watch. I watched like, you know, the Super Troopers, comedy
Oh, yeah.
movies, and that's it. I
You
never thought that I
it
could
was-
be a comedian. Like I'm up there telling jokes and making people laugh. You
Yeah.
know, and I mean I still have a lot to learn.
That makes sense. And you still remain very humble, and that's, I mean, even
Oh,
coming here,
yeah.
that's why I appreciate it. It's like, oh, like
Oh, thank you
you're
very
very
much.
high profile. You're coming to my little
Yeah.
like humble studio, and you're like, oh, it looks like the barracks.
Yes,
What was
it does. It looks like our hooch in Afghanistan. Like if
Hooch,
you ever been
there
to
you go.
so if you have people that watch your podcast and they've been to like Afghanistan or Iraq, they'll notice it too. I'm like, oh yeah, it does. It's like it's so cool. Even the table. And most people are like, oh, you're being mean. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like you didn't go to war. You don't know what it looks like. The doors and everything looks like an office where you come in. The captain walks in, salute,
That's
okay,
great.
attention, good morning, sir. You know, so I like it.
It's and I made it just kind of what made sense. I was
Yeah.
like,
But you
this
do
makes
what you
sense.
have to your disposal. Like I
Exactly.
don't know what to do. I'm not a carpenter. I would not know what to do with like a space like this.
Right.
You
yeah.
know.
No, that's
Like I wouldn't build it from scratch. I would wait for like you to do it and then I'll decorate it. I'm like, oh,
Right.
that was my contribution. I decorated the inside. You know.
Yeah.
But I'm not good like building stuff.
No, well, you're really good at comedy,
Yes.
and then you also have Shinanigans Productions.
Yes, yes. Because at one point I was not getting booked for shows.
So you
Because,
just-
well, what happened was I was trying to learn how do you go from point A to point B to point C. So in comedy, they don't tell you. You start at open mics. Open mics is like the breeding
Okay.
ground. That's your gym. That's where you work out your stage presence. You work out your jokes. That's where you get to learn to be a comedian.
Uh-huh.
But you don't stay there. You start getting bookings. You do small shows until you get to like the big shows.
Right.
So small shows for us, we start doing like, bar shows, getting booked at bar shows.
Right.
Then you get to like the little better venues if you're doing a hotel show. Then you get to private gigs where you can put your writer fee out there, which a lot of people don't know. There's a writer fee. Yeah, you start making your prices up. You can get booked private gigs, house parties, or corporate gigs
Right.
just by yourself, or if you bring a team with you.
Right, you can
And
make a whole.
yes, until you grow, and then from there you can start selling out like the Plaza Theater, we meet George Lopez and Gabriel Iglesias level.
You become
know?
like a touring.
Yes,
comic.
touring comic. You start going out on the road, getting booked out of town, and that's the true measure of a comedian.
Uh-huh.
Most comedians will just stay in their local area, and I'm just like, yeah, but have you tried performing somewhere where they don't know you at all?
Right.
And the fear and everything that you learn is either gonna kick in or you're gonna like, I quit.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate. So the states that I've been to, I've been very fortunate. I've been asked to come back. I've been asked to move to certain cities.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm just like, well,
That's
no, we ain't
cool.
gotta do all that. Like, I'll just keep coming back. I like the touring aspect, because like again, I have kids, so I can't just up and move.
Right.
You know,
so
like,
touring where you could dip out a few days.
Yes, because that's like the perfect vacation as a parent. Like, I'll be right back, kids. I'm gonna go do this city and come back.
Yeah, and then you get the best aspects of that city.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And then you can make your decisions if you should move. But again, what you don't realize is if you pick up where you're at and move to another location, you're going to start at the bottom again, and you have to rebuild your whole brand if you don't already have a following in that city.
Right.
So it could be a
sense.
risk. And then if you're good with a risk, yeah. But like I said, like with me being a mom, I can't be too risky, especially in the comedy world. Cause
Yeah,
the
if
big
it's
bucks,
you by yourself,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's fine. Like,
yeah,
I
because the
could-
big bucks
I
are
could
not
rough
rolling
it out.
in. I did not know how much money you could make just doing comedy. Like
Yeah.
I just shot my first movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because somebody was like, "Oh, we seen you on Facebook. You do comedy. Well, we want to put you in a movie. We want you to do drama." I'm like, "What?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Am I getting an exclusive right now?
Yes. Because the
Wow,
movie comes
that's-
out June 2022. It's called Butterfly, and I'm in it. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
excited.
so cool.
Yes.
Oh, thanks
So-
for that. That's a
Yes, yes. So
are you allowed to talk about it?
I just did because
Okay,
we already we have our rap party December 4th, so we're gonna go out to that.
Okay.
It's in Round Rock, Texas, so we're gonna go out and celebrate with
Oh,
the team.
that's so cool.
And then we were told that the red carpet premiere will be in June, so we'll fly out to Austin and do that. And yeah, so like
Oh man, I didn't.
comedy opens doors for you.
It really does, yeah.
You know?
But I didn't know. Well, thanks for that.
Oh, you're
I just didn't know. I know sometimes like movie studios they get like
Mm-hmm.
little. It's like how you're not allowed to talk about it until we can.
No, I already got the go ahead, so
That's so
why I'm
cool.
ecstatic. I'm ecstatic about it. So that's why I opened up Shinanigans Productions, because like I
yeah,
wasn't getting a
congratulations
lot
on
of
the
thank
movie,
you.
by the way.
Yeah, thank you. So I wasn't getting booked, and I was like, all right, fine. Well, I'm gonna create my own bookings, but I'm trying to return.
So when did you start Shenanigans?
Shinanigans Productions was started last year in November, so this is our 1 year
Oh, it's
anniversary.
1 year
Yes,
anniversary.
and I just haven't done anything. I haven't done an anniversary show yet.
Hey, this is it.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for coming.
Yes.
I mean,
So
hey, we'll
it's
make a little big little
Right. No, so,
presentation or something.
yeah, so it's like a 1 year anniversary. I have over 200 downloads.
See, you're so humble. Like
Oh.
you came here, you already have this movie going on, and
Yeah.
it's the anniversary of Shinanigans Productions, and you still came here.
Yeah, why
That's
not?
right.
Why not? Like, there's no reason not to be humble. Like, because
Yeah.
the same way that the universe opened doors, the universe can close them.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's true.
And I have no reason.
Makes
I
perfect sense.
I have no reason to put any evil juju out into the universe.
Yeah.
After surviving like a failed
Right.
marriage, my kids. Deployments.
Exactly,
So there's, I'm pretty sure there's other great things that's gonna happen for me. So why negate my blessings?
No, of course. And I got this from you since the very first time I met you. And I probably weirded you out a little bit because I feel, and I don't know why I never put two and two together. Like, you're very maternal and you always seem like you want to take care of everybody.
I
And
know that's a
it
bad
makes
thing
sense.
sometimes, though.
I could-
That blows up. It's like, shucks, stop it. They have moms. I'm
It
like, but if you
backfires.
just do this a little bit and just tweak it here, and then you'll be fine. So yeah, like
and that's what I got from you.
Yeah, it's hard to turn
when
off.
I first met you.
Yeah, it's hard to turn off. So now you understand why I have such an emotional response when like people don't like me or like they're just like, oh, I can't stand her. I was like, but I didn't do anything.
Right. No. And then I also heard, I don't know if this is okay with you, but Zeke said that you have a hard time reaching out to people and like putting them in shows.
I do because I'm shy. A lot of people don't
Right,
realize
yeah.
how shy I am.
Okay.
And they're like, well, how are you shy but you can go on stage? I said, that's different. When I'm on stage, it's just me. And I'm comfortable up there because I've worked so hard to get my stage presence down that when I'm up there, I'm allowing you into my world, but I'm vague. And I had comics, both super professional and novice, tell me, you need to work on the joke to keep it longer because you invite them in, but as soon as they get to know you, you stop. So I have to learn to work that because I'm thinking, well, if you got a 15-minute set, you got 15 minutes to tell a joke.
Yeah.
No, you can work on, instead of having 4 jokes in a 15-minute set, it could be 3 jokes or 2 jokes because you want the audience to know you.
Right.
So yeah, when I'm not on stage, I'm shy, okay? Because I don't like rejection, fear of rejection.
Right.
I got divorced in 2012. It's 2021. and I just got my first boyfriend.
Yeah.
Come on now, I'm shy, and people don't realize that. They're like, "But you're military. You're like you're chingona." I'm like, okay.
You are, and because you do have a lot of stuff going on. Like,
yes.
You have Shinanigans. You do have. You're well known here in El Paso, and then in San Antonio.
Austin, Boise, Idaho. I'm just like Austin, Khalid.
Yeah, you're kind of a big deal.
I went out to Michigan, did some shows.
Oh, cool.
I've got people asking me when I'm coming to South Carolina, Ohio, New York, my birthplace, which New York, April 2022.
Oh,
so
nice.
So I'm trying to get more shows under my belt. And those that don't know, the whole time during COVID, I was one of the Zoom comics. I went on Zoom and I met so many people through Zoom shows, and I did comedy online, and that opened so many doors. So I have stages that they're like, once the world opens up, you are more than welcome, and vice versa. So we got Las Vegas comics I'm working with coming out here. I got Bay, they call it the Bay Area. So the San Francisco area, we got some comics that are trying to come to Texas. So Omaha, we got. So I just built. Yeah. I just built my brand that way.
Right. Yeah. And you're putting El Paso. That's one of the things the reason I started the podcast, which I haven't brought up. It's Amp El Paso, right? You follow it.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast, because you could kind of feel this like El Paso's about to come up.
Yes.
We had like Khalid last year that he got really big.
Yes.
And then we have like a lot of NFL players that have been making like their names known.
Yes.
So, and then like a lot of bands that would come through here a lot. Mm-hmm. They started doing like we would see over on the west side a lot of like rock bands that they would dip in at like one of the Whole Foods over there. Yes. And I started noticing it's like maybe this El Paso is like the perfect spot between like Dallas, Austin, and then California, LA or San Diego. Mm-hmm. So it only makes sense to make it not just to pass through place, but like a
it's a hidden gem because a lot of the bands have studios here. They do their recordings here, like big name bands. So like Korn hangs out here, like Rob Zombie hangs out here, and we just don't know about it. Like I'm sure in the music industry, but I like that El Paso is so supportive, and because they like people are like really not into your business, but then if you're putting El Paso in a good light, it's the third safest city in the nation. Yeah. So why not? Yeah. So that's why I'm proud to say, like, I'm not an El Pasoan, but they make me feel welcomed here. Yeah. And they're like, you're putting El Paso on the map. As long as you do right by El Paso will support you. That's love. That's a lot of love.
That's true. Yeah, and it's been proven like a lot of times. Yeah. Where El Paso, and also like with Juarez, like we have a lot of comics also that come from Juarez.
Yes, we have Eduardo Espinosa. I met him in the comedy scene when I first started out, and then he just stayed in Juarez and just built up his brand, his shows and everything. Yeah. And he's #1 in the comedy field in Juarez. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. Cause there's a show actually this weekend. I don't know if you know Carlos Vallarta.
I don't.
He's a Mexican. He looks like this hippie dude. Nice. And we actually met him last year or 2 years ago. Okay. But he also has a podcast, and he's like the one guy that I listen to like in the like Mexican like comedy. Yeah. Because there's also that whole thing like in Juarez or I guess Mexico. Mm-hmm. It's the whole comedy thing. It's coming up too, and I feel like it only makes sense. Like, hey, both countries are next together. Yep. And then we're sister cities. Mm-hmm. It makes sense to get them.
Right. So collaborating with other comedians and working their stages and working their shows. Like, unfortunately, right now, because of some military, Juarez is off limits right now. So I can't go.
No, that makes sense. Especially with COVID and everything.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm limited where I can go, which is understandable. But like I said, like Zoom is still happening. So
you're doing more than enough here. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I thought because and then like on top of the fact that I didn't know you like being parents and everything, I was like, man, like. I thought most of these comics were just comics. Yeah. But you realize it's like, hey, they're more rounded people than just comedians.
Yeah, they got other things going on, whether they have jobs, they have families that they're taking care of, they're going to school. Yeah. So, a lot of people don't realize that.
Tons of stuff, too.
Oh, yeah.
Movie and comedy. And you're touring.
Yes, the Chingona tour.
Yeah, that's the one that I was... So I saw a picture, and I thought it was really cool. Because here in El Paso, you don't see it a lot. where it's like a full, like every seat is full on pictures or videos.
Yes.
In an auditorium or a stage or whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw a picture of you last week, I think, where you were in San Antonio, I think.
Yes.
And you're standing there, and I think they were celebrating something, right? I don't know if they were celebrating something or was it just a shout out to you?
It was just a shout out because comics is very important that wherever you're getting booked at, make sure you pay homage to that venue because they can make or break your career. Be nice to the staff, mention the staff, tip your bartenders, your waitresses, because that word of mouth goes a long way.
Right.
So when you show love and you tag them in your photos and they retweet it, I'm on Twitter, so it's LOL, the San Antonio LOL Comedy Club. They retweeted my post, and I was like, oh my gosh, they retweeted my post because if you know the history of the LOL Club, that's where famous comedians have performed. So, Dave Chappelle,
so cool.
Fluffy, Tiffany Haddish, like top names in comedy.
Yeah.
So to be on that main stage, and we weren't supposed to be on that stage. We were supposed to be on the little stage.
Oh, wow.
But by the grace of God and love from the community, we ended up moving from the main room to for the little room to the main room. That's how many tickets we sold.
Wow,
and we only had
cool.
one row empty, but we basically sold out that venue, and it was like OMG, like thank you so much to the LOL Comedy Club, thank you Edma Ruiz, the producer and creator, Mind Twist Comedy, who got that booking for us, and we did so well. Now other venues are booking the Chingona joint.
And that was really cool because I saw you standing on stage, and then I saw
I'm so tiny.
Yeah, it looked like a sold out, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's so cool.
And then the love that we had, because what you don't see is the back row. So the back row against the wall was all the San Antonio comics that can come and support and watch the show.
Cool.
And take note, they did not ask for guest spots, okay? They came, they watched, they supported, they cheered, and even afterwards we went to do karaoke and had a good after party. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you get comics that have paved the way for you already, that made it in a genre, to come up to you like, that was a good set, keep going, don't listen to nobody, keep going. And I'm just like, what about my jokes? I gotta read the room. No, because they don't know what you're gonna say. And I was a comic that always was taught, read the room.
Yeah, that's true. Does that make sense though?
It does now. Now, when a comic tells you, don't worry about the room. If your jokes are strong enough, your material is strong enough in the laughter factor, it won't matter what you say.
Right.
Because it won't matter who's in the room. It won't matter the room, because the room is there. Like, they don't know you. They're happy to see you. Obviously, they paid the ticket fee to come and be entertained by you. So they don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
So in some reasons, like, I don't know why here we were telling the comics, read the room. Your jokes are not. Like, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because when you go in there, you have to gain their attention anyway. And if you notice how open mics are, they don't listen to us anyway. Yeah. So it's our job to get their attention. You have to grab them by the horns and be like, hey, I'm on stage. Listen to what I got to say. Yeah. But you got to be funny. Yeah. And that's where we're failing it. Yeah, you might be able to say what you want. Yeah. Is it funny though? Are you entertaining? Right. And for a lot of comics, they'll always ask, because I've had some bold enough to come up to me and they're like, well, you're not booking me. Are you bookable? Right. What makes you bookable? And again, you have to test those jokes out.
And that makes sense. And it's like anything else, because it is still a business. And then, I mean, your currency in this business is your jokes. Yeah. It's like, hey, you gotta, because you're also looking at, if a venue is going to book you, that venue is spending money. Yes. They also have to feed people and like all the product and everything.
Yes. And the one thing we don't think about is they're trusting us to bring them business. Yeah. If you walk the crowd, like we joke about it here in open mic scene, oh, you did walk the whole crowd. Imagine if you walk the crowd and it's 1,000-seater and you don't walk 25% of that crowd. Yeah. You never get it booked again. Right, yeah. And they don't realize that. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, and then word gets around really quick.
Oh, yeah. And then you're like, oh, cancel culture. No, it wasn't cancel culture. It was you. It was you. It's what you said.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's one of those things.
Yeah, so that's why it's hard to be like, read the room. But then at the same time, it's like, but my jokes are, it's like, are they funny? Right. You know? Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword. But anytime you get on a stage, no matter how big or small the crowd is, it's automatic career suicide. You're taking a risk.
Yeah.
You're gambling with your career when you get up there.
Right. Yeah, because you could always have that one set where you say the wrong thing,
And then you don't know how to recover.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's like you're allowed to fall, but you have to get back up.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to have open mics, to go to the open mics, work out your material.
Yeah.
Because I was so, like I said, I got earlier in the podcast, I got dragged on Facebook, social media, and I was ready to quit. That's how sensitive I am. That's how shy I am. I'm ready to quit.
Really?
I've quit like 15 times so far. And I'm just like, I'm not coming back. Instead of, because I'm not a Facebook warrior, I'm not going to go on Facebook and retort whatever your comment was. If I happen to run into you face to face, I'm going to say something. I'm more of a visual person.
That's a little more scary. A little scarier.
Well, if you had the gall to come and write it out, you should have the gall, that same enthusiastic gall, to say it to my face.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. Yeah.
But they don't.
Yeah, no, because now that's what Facebook is.
But why?
You're able to talk some trash.
Why? Because you're going to try and ruin my career because your career is not going the way you want it.
Yeah.
So you're going to shame me in some light over a misunderstanding?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
You're like away from like swinging distance.
Exactly. Well, I'm not going to hit nobody because now because it seems like now people trying to get people assault charges, you know? So I'm
Jesus.
like,
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. So like, we don't have to fight to have a discussion.
Right.
You know, but I get it. At the same time, it's like any workplace. You're not going to get along with all of your coworkers. I understand that. You're not going to get invited to every after party, every shindig, every Friendsgiving, and that's fine. But what you will not do is you will not stop my comedy career, my grind, because only I can do that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you could just choose like, hey, you know what? I'm done with this.
Yeah. And so I had to learn to stop having an emotional response because again, people are not gonna like me.
Yeah,
you know?
I think there's a few people, a few of our comics that are kind of understanding that.
Yeah.
I did understand it. I did go through some stuff like when I was younger, so I was able to mature mentally fairly young, and it was kind of a blessing and not at the same time. Where you understand, like, exactly, like, not everything demands an emotional response. Mm-hmm. It's like, things happen. I mean, are you going to be able to move past it, or is this it? Is this something that's going to... It's going to...
Yeah, so I had to learn how to just, like, lick my wounds and keep going.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then Otis said it perfectly. Otis said, when you stop to pay attention to something negative, you miss all the opportunities that are in front of you. So unless it's something that's detrimental that needs to be taken care of, a blind eye and keep going. Don't miss your blessings. Don't miss your opportunities.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because we get so hung up, and I'm one of those guys. Like, whenever something goes wrong, I'll drown in a glass of water.
Yeah.
So quickly.
Right.
And then I am, and people in the comedy community and just people in my personal life, they're always there to like, hey, like, we'll help you out. Like, you'll be all right. And I'm super thankful because I'm very lucky to be surrounded by
exactly.
a lot of
That's
people.
what I'm saying. Like everybody else showed up to the comedy competitions, so.
Yeah, and you're one of them. Yeah, because so I don't know if I mentioned, but you did scare. Like you kind of intimidated me. You have like this like subtle like ruthlessness where you just kind of stared me down. And
I'm
like,
sorry.
you're gonna do it. And it's like, and I did it because I wasn't planning on doing it.
Yeah.
And I went, and it turned out pretty good.
And it was fun, wasn't it?
It was fun. I got to meet Raymond.
Horta, Omar Rodriguez, and that's the great thing about it, the networking. Because even if you don't place, just go because networking. People can put you in spots that you never dreamed of. Yeah. And you might not be ready for it, but you have time to get ready. Right. But you can't get ready for an opportunity if you don't show up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
like a saying, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have to show up to get the opportunity. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, like, why aren't you going? And that's why I said there's not a lot of mentorship in the comedy scene here in El Paso. Like, there's not mentorship. No one can push you and say, no, just keep going. Like I said, I have a sprinkle of it, but for as many comments as we have in El Paso, and I really, really would like to see more females.
That's actually my next point. I was just gonna grab a drink if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, no, it's your world.
Here. Do you want another one?
No, I'm good right now.
Some water or something?
No, I'm sipping this one.
You're still doing good.
Mm-hmm.
I did offer.
Thank you.
Some alcoholic, but you were like, oh no, like I have.
No, I gotta pick up the kids.
Responsibilities. Are you still downtired? Are we still good?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
So that was going to be my next point. Maybe we could, we could keep talking about this, and you just let me know when you have to, we have to cut it.
Yeah, no, you can.
So, we don't have a lot of women.
We don't.
And you are honestly probably the only one that I see most of the time out there.
Right. So I'm the only consistent one.
Exactly.
There's a difference.
There's or even, I mean, and I do kind of feel bad saying this because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, and I would like to invite them here as well.
Of course.
I feel that they're like one of the people that I like is Henny.
Mm-hmm.
I know obviously you guys have your differences.
Yeah.
And, since she kind of got you your start, I don't know. I think that's kind of heartwarming.
Right.
But she's really funny, and like she is kind of into a character. And I told her this one time. We were standing outside of one of the venues, where you know how she acts on stage.
Yes.
And then we were having a conversation with the other comedians, and she switched like her little tone, and I was like, "Damn, dude, like." You're like a different person, and she's like, "What?" I caught her off guard, and I was like, "Yeah, like."
Because she thinks nobody's paying attention.
Yeah.
So the thing with Henny is like the only reason we fell out that I know of because she's not talking to me is the jealousy factor. Like I get it. Like I think we were at a mic together, and the host said, "Your next comic coming up to the stage is the only female comic in El Paso," and Henny was in the room and she left. And I said, well, you have to understand, if you're not consistent, again, who knows you're a comic if you don't show up?
Right. Yeah.
You have to show up. And then you have to introduce yourself to people as a comic. So when people come up to you and be like, hey, my name is so-and-so, what do you do? Oh, I'm a stand-up comedian. You're a comedian? Yes, I tell jokes for a living. Right. If you're not putting that out into the universe, you're not putting that out, who knows that you're a comic? So you can't be mad at someone's success.
Right.
And even then, like when I started getting booked at Inn of the Mountain Gods, because little known fact, I would host at Inn of the Mountain Gods for a season, cool. And then I even did a feature spot at Inn of the Mountain Gods. And who was in the car with me? Henny. I would take her out there, and I told her to meet Frizzo, but she already knew Frizzo. Yeah. I said, anytime you two can ask for a spot on that stage at Inn of the Mountain Gods. Right. So we were road dogs in comedy. We were growing up in comedy together. Yeah. And it's just a little, she'll probably be upset that I said it's jealousy, but I don't know what else to call it.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's understandable. There's always misunderstandings.
Yeah.
And jealousy is one of those things where you really can't control. Yeah. Because you always think maybe this person, I don't know, it's something that, hopefully you guys can resolve it.
Yeah.
Because I do plan on, I hope you come back, and then I hope she does do this, because I'm going to give this opportunity to all the comics. I want you guys all to be here. And it's also nice to have other comics coming together. And especially, like I said, there's not a lot of women. You really are the only one that I see at the open mics. Henny is actually a second, and then I see Brittany also. Yes. But other than that, there's nobody that I can see.
Yeah, we used to have Ivy. Last night, Mumbles came back, and Mumbles was one of the original female comedians of El Paso because Lee Gary, she was here. She came and visited. She was also a pioneer to El Paso comics, female comedians. Right. Aurora Tarango used to be here. Bianca Carrasco was here. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody's names right. I'm sorry. So when I started, before I even touched the stage, there were female comedians here in El Paso, and they all moved away. Right. So then you have Henny tried it out, but again, it was spotty because she works at the comic strip. So I think there was a conflict there if she can or cannot do comedy. Then Ivy started coming out, but then it didn't work out in her favor because things were said. Right. And then Brittany, Brittany comes and goes. Yeah, she's so it's like, all right, there also. Yes, but you have people that want to do their own thing, and they don't want to take the criticism that they ask for. They don't want to take the mentorship. So it's like, well,
that makes sense too, though, because we have. Even though we as comics, we have we still have sensitive egos. Right?
Yes. Even Guthrie came out a couple of times, and she won a comedy competition because I guess here the more people you bring, but then they're like, no, it's not even that. It's like you're either good, you're good. Okay. Right. So we had Guthrie, and Guthrie did a set last week. So I don't know what it is. I think they're scared, and I'm just like, I'm here to tell you, don't be scared. Just do you. Yeah. Just do you. Just come out and have fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if you don't make it a career, and I think that's what it is. They haven't figured out if they're gonna make it a career. If you haven't figured out how far you want to go with it, right, you probably are lost. Maybe you're just doing it just to hang out, have a good time and that's what the open mics are for. If you're not trying to be a national touring comic, then don't tour.
Yeah, which I don't know. I always thought that there was always an end goal to that. And
I thought so too.
It doesn't really make sense to me where you just want it to be you're just okay being an open micer. I guess it makes sense if you're like to go out and party.
Right. But they get mad at the term because some people say, well, you're not a real comedian if you're an open micer. You're an open micer. There's things you have to do to become a comedian.
Yeah.
And then there's things you have to do to become a comic. And I was like, well, it's all one word, really. Yeah. It's just synonyms, you know. Yeah. So you're just saying the same thing.
You can't really tell somebody, hey, what does it take to be a real comic? If you're a comedian, but you still have a regular 9-to-5 job.
Exactly.
You have kids, a family, and responsibilities. You're still a comedian.
Yes.
You just don't have, you don't want to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me it just doesn't make sense because it just figured, oh well, you want to tour, if you want to be a comic, but it's so hard, especially. I mean, I would imagine being in a relationship with somebody that if you start getting booked on a year-round tour, it's like wow, that would be rough.
Oh yeah,
that makes
Well, since you brought up the topic, I'm gonna say it. Yeah, being like dating a comic. When sometimes you get booked and the other person doesn't get booked, and they're like, "Do you want to go on tour with me?" They're like, "Why?" So I can just be there. And I'm like,
I think
networking.
I think this conversation's been had where female comics will date male comics, but as soon as they find out they're not funny, it's like done.
But it shouldn't be because they're like because there was this old rumor like, oh well, comics should date comics. I'm like, well, cops date cops, military date military, nurses date nurses. Why can't you date within your community, especially if that's where you're spending the most time? And if you click with somebody, then why not? Now I get the implications of like, well, what if you guys break up? And I already said, I already said like, we break up, I'm not going nowhere near you. And then he's like, well, what if we get booked at the same show? I don't have to talk to you.
That's true.
I just got to wait my stage call time, get on stage, do my thing. If we got to take a picture afterwards, I'm going to stand away from you, smile, and I'm going to go home. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stop.
That's true. Yeah, because relationships get really super weird.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you get in a relationship with somebody, it like logic goes out the window.
It does.
I don't know.
Like, why are you getting more bookings than I'm getting? Or I've been doing this longer. Like, you just started. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Right. Yeah.
It just goes in time and opportunity. But as
we're gonna get calls into the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where are you talking smack?
Yeah. Oh no, don't worry. We're gonna start our own podcast. So I'm putting that out there too. We're starting our own podcast, and nice. I'm not gonna put the name out right now because it's in the works. But yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I think it's like really important to show that you can be in a relationship and run a business together.
Yeah.
And just see how it goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that make it work.
Yes.
Like I know there's the one guy from Pistoleros. He's with his wife, and they look like the great
Jason
couple.
and Isela. Yes.
And this guy, like, do they both work there? I don't know.
They both work there.
And yeah, like they look like this like
I'm not
celebrity
gonna say, but
couple.
Isela is the brains of the operation because she's the person you got to call and sit down in the office with and talk, business with.
He's the personality. He's got that great goatee.
He's like the stage hand. He sets up the stage for you, make sure the equipment's running, the PA system's good. Yeah. He's like, all right, man. Yeah.
No, they're great.
But they're great hosts.
They do seem like a little celebrity couple here in San Diego.
Exactly.
So, do you have any advice to have more women come out? I don't know what it takes. I would like to see. There's a lot of guys. It's just a sausage fest, Pardon the expression.
So, but my thing is this: if you're a female aspiring to be a comedian, so first things first, we need to stop with the labels. Because a lot of comedians, they just want to be, can we just be a comedian? You could already look at me and say I'm a female.
Yeah,
so why do you have to say female? You know? So just come out.
But I think it's fair though. When there's not a lot of females out there as comics, you do have to not wonder, but say, hey, it'd be nice to have, and we've had a few that have gone up there.
Oh, yeah, right? But they don't come back. Because the Paso comedy scene has to be welcoming, not cringy. Just because if a new face comes out, it feels like the sharks come out of the water. It should not be like that. And I'm pretty sure, and I've seen it. There's groups that I belong to on Facebook, and the stories on there. They come out to the mics. They try to get on stage, and then they're getting attacked verbally, sexually harassed, and it has to stop. Because again, when it happened to me, I said, well, when you asked all them guys first, then I'll tag on. But if you're not gonna ask the guys, don't ask me to do what you're not gonna ask them guys to do. You know, it should be free game. The stage should be open to anybody who is ready to go up there. That's it. So don't harass them. Don't make it weird. You know, like it's not a dating cesspool. It's an open mic to start their comedy career.
Yeah, because everybody's going out there with a goal.
Exactly. Right. And then you ruin it when you cringy, and then you're making side bets in the corner. I bet you I'm gonna get it first, bro. I bet you 2 Dos Equis. What? Really? I'm worth more than Dos Equis, okay? So, you know, like, come on. Like, let's just be welcoming. It's okay. Yes, it is okay to go up and say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm a comic, you know. But right off the bat, it should be, hey, my name is so-and-so. We should write together.
Because it can happen. I mean, it obviously can happen.
But let it develop. Let her be the initiator sometimes.
Yeah.
Not a sexual harassment term. I'm just saying, you know, let her come in there and get her feet wet first.
Right.
So that way and show that El Paso is a welcoming community to everyone.
Right.
You know, I think we had one transgender.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
We had Miss Isabel come out there and did a couple of jokes over at Dewey's, and we haven't seen her since, so we don't know if she moved or what's going on in her life. But I do remember her. You remember the people that you see, because you only see them one time, and then you're like, well, what happened? And I'm like, you know, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, you never really
if you scare them away, they're not gonna come back.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because it's still a community.
Exactly.
And the community does have a vibe.
There you go. So like, don't be like cringy. Like, nobody's your competition. Yeah, it is a competition to get to be that next. But if you're still at an open mic level, you haven't got a lot of bookings, you haven't been on tour, who are you competing with really?
Yeah.
So let's just have fun, you know.
Plus, like, that competition makes you better. Because you're like, hey, I have to up my game.
Yeah, but then you got to remember, there's some people would not do a competition. They would not do a competition.
That also scares a lot of people. Like, even the term, just naming it a competition. If you just say it's a show, people are fine. Yeah. And then you just bring up the term competition, and everybody
freaks out. They're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, because there's some competitions that people don't know about that I have entered and didn't get selected. You know, there's some festivals that I submitted to. I'm still waiting to hear back because they're not starting until like August 2022. Right. So it was just like, if you're confident in your material and your joke styles, your writing, enter. You know? Yeah. But while you're waiting to enter more comedy competitions, work your magic at these open mics, build your fan base, and also if you're gonna get booked for a show, promote it, share, like, talk about it, invite people. Because I go, like, you know, wherever I'm at in a long line, I'm talking about being a comic. That's why people in El Paso know me as a comic. They're like, what do you do? Oh, I do comedy. I got a show this day. You know, just like, you know, they'll be like, well, I can't come because I got to work. I said, yeah, but you know about it. So find me on Facebook, like it, share it. And I have a lot of support. So thank you, El Paso, for that. Because there's a lot of people sharing the posters, liking the posters. But the people that are getting booked for the shows are not. Like, that's an oxymoron.
Right.
You know? Yeah, so don't say you want to be on a show and then you don't promote your own show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because that defeats the purpose.
It really does. Yeah.
You know, and I've asked comics. I'm like, have you told family and friends that you're a comedian? No. Was it a secret? Yeah. So why is it a secret?
You gave me a little look there.
Yeah, because you know. Sorry.
Yeah, so a lot of my family and friends do know, but it's that thing where, I guess you get intimidated about what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
You know? But that I am.
I get it. You don't want to embarrass your family, but you know what? My family has embarrassed me over the years. And to this day, my family.
Already my family's embarrassed.
They finally, my 5th year in comedy, they found out I'm a comedian. So the Raymond Orta comedy competition that I entered it in San Antonio. That's how I got the hosting gig.
Oh.
So I went to San Antonio. Okay. I invited my brother. I'm the oldest of 4. I invited the second child. Well, he's the third. He's the third child. I invited my brother to come to the competition because I was, you know, just in case it was a bringer show, at least I brought somebody. And then also, too, so I can get a vote. He was honest. He voted for Benjamin Daniel.
He voted for somebody.
And I'm sitting next to Benjamin because I did a show here in El Paso with Benjamin, who's a Houston comic. My brother's like, sorry, sis, I love you, but I'm going to vote for your boy. I was like, wow, you're going to tell me you're going to vote for somebody else? And then that's not even the worst part. In the middle of the competition, he's like, yo, I'm going to go up there and do some jokes. Bro, no! You don't just get up in the middle of the show and just add yourself to the lineup. What are you doing?
Was this your brother?
My brother. Like, we came out of the same birth canal brother, yes. Different dads, so, but same mom. And he was just like, yeah, I'm going to be a comedian too. No, find your own way in life. Stop.
Oh, man.
Stop it.
Did he get on stage?
No, he didn't. Stop. Because I told him that would have been so embarrassing, and I would have had to disown him right there.
He probably would have won.
Maybe. You never know. But I'm like, in a comedy competition, you don't just add yourself.
Right.
An open mic, yeah, you sign up, you go up.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. And then he tried it again because I introduced him to the San Antonio Comedy Fam. And I think he went to like one show, and again, he tried it. And I was like, no, don't do that. Please don't.
He's like, hey, I'm funny. He's like, I'm funny.
To you. And you know, like, we're kids, so we told mom. And my mom had to get on him. She's like, don't embarrass your sister. What are you doing? Like, let her have this. Stop.
Aw, that's so nice. That's so
but my
sweet.
other brother did the same thing, and he's in Houston. He said, when you come to Houston, I don't know. I have to get booked. I just don't go there.
Yeah,
you know? So he's like, yeah, you need to come down here so, you know, I can get on stage. Why do I have to be there for you to get on stage?
Oh, that's cool.
It's like, I'm going to use you. No, because if you're not funny, you're not going to ruin my name. And that's what comics don't realize. So as a production company, when you're putting names out there, you got to be real confident in the names you put up there because they're looking at you like, you brought these people here for this.
Right.
You know? So it's a business. Behind the scenes, it's a business.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful who you promote. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Man, there's a lot of things I haven't thought about.
It
when
is.
It comes to
It is.
show.
Like, how much are you willing to, like, get paid? How much, like, the writer fee, the transportation fee? Are you going to get room and board?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you get there, like, comics are so, like, El Paso comics are so uneducated because here they're just like, oh, we're getting a bucket of beer. I'm like, that's all you want? You just want a bucket of beer. That's it.
It's like, I'll get you a bucket of beer.
I've been to places where I've got 2 drink tickets, and you want a whole bucket, you know?
Wow.
You don't want to, like, raise your writer fee up a little bit. You don't want no cash, you know? Like, come on now.
Right.
You know? So, but it shouldn't be about the money. You should level up.
Yeah, it shouldn't, obviously.
You should level up to that, but, you know.
Yeah. See, I do get accused of putting the horse, what is it, the cart before
the cart before the horse.
Whatever that term is.
Yeah.
Because I see something and then I want to do it really quick, and I tend to do it, and I guess this is kind of the podcast, something that I did, where it's technically not super ready yet, but I'm already wanting to make it that. So I always feel like I've been doing comedy this year. So I started in February, March. I don't really remember. And it was at the living room, actually, which is my last time at the living room.
Tough room.
Yeah, the last time at the living room was really tough. Yeah, I don't know if you were there last time I was there. But I feel like I'm not doing enough. And I mean, I think I am to blame because obviously, you know, if you feel you're not doing enough, chances are you probably aren't.
Right.
But I see all you guys going on shows and touring and everything. It's like, man, like I'm falling behind. But then I have to come to the realization, it's like, hey, you just been in it for a year. Like
you have to build
up yourself too.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I do that with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see people like you that. I mean, you're touring, right? I mean, you're in the middle of a tour right now.
Yes.
Do you guys have more dates?
Yes, we do. So December 22nd is the next. No, December 17th, I'll be in Laredo. So we're going to be in
Laredo. That's the one that I saw. That's the poster that I saw.
Right, so it's December 17th in Laredo, December 22nd in Odessa. And then the January, I forgot. But January 22nd is a show. And then McAllen. It's McAllen. Yeah, December 22nd is McAllen. And then February, we are. You know what? I messed that all up.
That's fine. I'll get them all right.
Because December 22nd is Dallas Improv. you know what? That's a great problem to have when you can't remember where all your shows are at, but you know you have shows.
That's great.
So yes, it is. So it's like it's Laredo, Dallas, then Odessa, Pecos, and then McAllen. All right, yeah, I got it right. Whew.
And this is with
the Chingona tour, yes. Because my second project, who I started out with, is we keep changing the name. So now it's called The Squad, and that's myself, Anthony Austin Brown, Otis Higgs, and Zeke Carter, Zeke Diaco, whatever his name wants to be that day. I don't know. DJ EK. He got so many names. I was like, pick one, bro.
Yeah.
So I tease him about it all the time. I know. So it's like us and us four, and like we try to showcase the talent in El Paso here, because El Paso already is known for a predominantly Hispanic Latino community, and then who's else in this community is comics. It's like, okay, so you have the Afro-Latina, Native American, which is me. Then you have the Afro-Mexican, which is Zeke. Then you have the Black Puerto Rican, which is Otis. And then you have the Black Irishman, which is Anthony. So we're all mixed, but at the same time, it's like, more people of color. So we wanted to showcase, because you'd be surprised when people come up to you when they recognize you and they ask you, like, well, how come you don't have this, and that? It's like, we do have that in our El Paso community, but they don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm putting on shows to push
sense.
that out.
Yeah.
And then some people probably will question, well, you're being biased. No, you don't understand. I just said it's a predominantly one type, like what you're used to seeing, so you don't know who's all there.
And it makes sense. In comedy, that's one of the things. You do have to kind of play to those things.
Yes.
And it's now with everybody being canceled and everything, people don't
Yes.
realize that, listen, to be able to make some type of comedy, there's a reason why Mexicans, joke about like eating beans and stuff like that, because it's something that's true. It's not so much that it's racist. It's like something that's true.
That's part of their culture. That's what they grew up with, and then they're telling you a story about their livelihood.
Exactly. So that's also one of the things that I've kind of, I don't really like it, that it's something that I, personally growing up as a Mexican, like descendant or whatever you want to call it, there's things that I grew up that I know like black people or like white people grew up with differently. It's like, it's just one of the things that you grew up with.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, if you could make a joke out of it, it's not.
And that's what our job is, to be funny, make jokes out of that. Most people are like, well, my culture is not to be laughed at. But you laugh at it at home.
Exactly.
Behind closed doors.
Exactly.
So it's funny there.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, you're trying to bring things together, but people, it's like, it's along the same lines as jealousy. You can't control how somebody feels when you say something. It's like, hey man, I didn't like that.
Exactly. And all I could do is, like I said, I'm just trying to put opportunities out there to let them know that we are here, that that El Paso comedy scene is diverse. There is representation.
Because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get people out. You're trying to get people to laugh. And you, at the same time, trying to get paid.
Exactly. Because surprisingly, people will pay all this money to see famous comics, but not the locals. And I'm like, because you guys are not advertising and letting people know that you're comics. And I think that's what it is.
Right.
I just think that the community just doesn't know. So by like you doing the podcast, I do my podcast, we do these shows, we do these open mics, but you have to promote. And I think if you don't market and promote, they'll never know.
Yeah.
So that's really, I'm going to say that's what it is. Like, they just don't know.
Promote.
Yes.
That's true.
We all are on social media. And
that's true.
And I've met so many people. I don't have merch yet. I have stickers. And I'm going to give you some. I have stickers in the car. So on my sticker, it's my logo. And on the back of it, it has all my social media. So it has my Facebook name, my Twitter, my Instagram, my Twitch, so it has all of that. So you just go on one of the platforms, whichever platform you're on, and see where I'm going to be at, what shows I'm promoting, because I'm always sharing other people's flyers. Just like we got like Chad is like the best supporter. Angel over here, he shares the flyers too. So we got some good supporters. They're like share. So we love you guys for that. So but a lot of times when we get people to come to our shows, it's like word of mouth. They found out at the last minute.
Right. Yeah.
And some of the establishments are letting us put out flyers up so people can see us. They're like, oh.
No, I was gonna start doing that too. So since I'm on the bike, I was gonna just go around putting stickers up. Yeah. And then just sharing stuff on the page. Yeah.
Because until you make the big time, I heard all the money is in merch. So it's like getting your name out there, getting your logo out there. So getting the T-shirts, koozies, hats, stickers, something. Yeah. So people know, oh, you're a comic. All right, let me go to your show. Let me
see what this is about.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and go from there. That's the only way we're going to grow in a community.
Yeah, of course. I mean, El Paso's, we're getting there. Yes. I mean, it seems like sometimes we take one step forward and a couple steps back, but I think there's progress there.
Oh,
you can totally see it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good luck in your tour.
Thank you.
Congratulations
thank you.
On your anniversary.
Thank
you.
For
Shinanigans Productions.
Yes.
On your movie. And, I mean, on anything else that's going to come up, because I'm sure there's a lot more things that are going to happen to you. And I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. You guys have been awesome.
Yeah,
Me too.
A long time. I can't believe
His listeners.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And don't worry, we put Angel on the show and nobody came, so we're gonna do some more again.